During the World Cup, while discussing David Moyes' future, some subscribers in the comment section of videos would suggest that David Moyes deserves time to turn things round using Nayef Aguerd at the heart of his defence. And the fact that Moyes hadn't been able to even utilise his summer signing at all, well, had a couple of appearances in the Conference League, he came on against Leicester unexpectedly before the World Cup. Apart from that, Moyes hasn't been able to use Aguerd as he intended to. And for that reason, some people felt, well, let's see after the World Cup how Moyes gets on with Aguerd available to him. Now, while I didn't subscribe to that idea, I could understand where they were coming from, because at the end of the day, he was a substantial signing in the summer. 25-30 million was spent on him, the first signing, and we got told at the time that this was David Moyes' #1 target. And there was evidence to back that up. We had been linked to Aguerd minimum 12 months earlier. So I think it's only fair to suggest that we had been scouting at least Aguerd for the full season. Aguerd then arrived and spoke about conversations he'd had with David Moyes during the season as well. So to say that he's Moyes' #1 target in summer, I think that's a fair thing. Unlike Paqueta, Stuart Pearce alluded to it since leaving West Ham that they discovered Paqueta whilst getting ready to face Lyon in the Europa League. Now, we didn't get drawn against Lyon until March. So that would suggest the earliest that West Ham became aware of Lucas Paqueta was in March. So there's a lot more evidence to suggest that Aguerd was top of David Moyes' wish list for the summer. He got his man, but he's been unable to use him. So some people suggest, well, let's let Moyes have a crack at it with Aguerd and see how that happens. Like I said, didn't agree to it, but I got it. And I have to say, I've been thoroughly impressed by what I've seen so far. Now, it's very, very little. There's only been 2 appearances in the Claret and Blues since the return of domestic football after the World Cup. I thought he looked really, really good against Leeds, and I think he looked really good against Brentford as well. Drawn 1-1-1. He's doing alright, isn't he? Aguerd's record at West Ham isn't too shabby. At least someone says. But I've been very impressed by what I've seen. Like I said, we saw him briefly before the World Cup, but you always put in your own disclaimers, which is, but it's only the Conference League. I'm not going to get excited. I don't care if he looks fast. He might somehow become slower when playing in the Premier League. I don't care if his tackling's really good. It might get worse up against better opposition. I mean, that's a fair comment, isn't it? And there will be better opponents for him than Wissa and Rodrigo of Leeds United. There will be better opponents. He's going to get tested more in the Premier League. But what I've seen so far, I'm really impressed, but also really excited actually, because a large part of our problems this season has been defensive. The defensive errors individually is alarming. Teal Kerr being the main culprit, Adam Creswell against Brentford. I felt Craig Dawson was at fault for two goals against Leeds United the other night. We need to eradicate them, but we need to get better defensively. Now, that's not the only problem, right? We're going to cover the good and the bad in this video. There's issues further up the pitch as well, but defensively certainly we've had some problems at the back, and I'm just hoping that Aguerd can at the very least improve it drastically. So while the evidence in West Ham shirt is minimal, at the World Cup he had a fantastic campaign. He was really, really good for Morocco. I think he started 4 games, only conceded 1 goal. I mean, it was him that scored it. He scored the own goal, but in the other 3 games, clean sheet, clean sheet, clean sheet, and he had really good performances as well for Morocco. He looked really good, and when I watched them, I was quite excited by what I seen. I think his reading of the game is exceptional. His positioning is brilliant. He's got that pace that we're screaming out for in our back four at the minute. His distribution's really, really good. Really composed in possession. We saw against Brentford, doesn't mind dribbling up the pitch with it responsibly either. That tackle he did against Leeds United was incredible. That pass from Kerr which sold them out. That's the individual errors I'm speaking about. Put him under immense pressure, but he was just calm. The tackle was incredible. It was timed to perfection, and a lot of people will get that wrong and concede a penalty, but not him. Any slide tackle as well. Very difficult technique. It was just brilliant. I thought, there you go. There's a top centre back. And sometimes when you see a top player play, you only need to see them play a handful of times and you know that that player is a talent. And I think Nayef Aguerd gives me those vibes. And it makes me a little bit hopeful. He makes me hopeful that our defence can improve. Once Kurt Zouma's back, he is back in training. Whether he's going to be available for the Wolves or not remains to be seen. Moyes has dismissed it a little bit. But I'm hopeful that them two as a partnership will create a formidable partnership. That will be a big part of our so we say turn it around. If we do turn it around, I'd imagine them two will have a big part to play in that. Now, I know what you're thinking. Hang on a minute, Gio, you're stretching a bit here, but I have to confess I am. Because we've got the two big games coming up against Wolves and Everton, we've seen West Ham 4 times now. I'm starting to look back at those games, looking for evidence to be positive about. I'm looking for hope. I'm confessing, I am on purpose looking for things that are going well for West Ham in those 4 games that give me hope going forward. There's 1 or 2 things that are still worry me greatly, and that unfortunately overrides the positive things at the minute. But I want to see us do well. I want to see Moyes turn it around, because my desire to see West Ham succeed will always supersede my opinions on a manager, whether he should be sacked or not. Let's put it this way, Wolves, I don't want to see Thomas Souček play. I think he will. I don't want to see him in the starting 11. However, if he does start, I hope he has a man-of-match performance. I want him to perform very well, because that will always supersede my opinion of a player or a manager. So do I want David Moyes as manager of West Ham? No. Do I think David Moyes will turn it around at West Ham? No, I don't. Do I want him to? Yes, I do, because if he does, that means West Ham have done well. That's my point. When people disagree with stuff I say on here, 99% of the time I get it. You know, if I say, I think, as I say, Creswell should be left back, I'm not sure who I want to play left back at Wolves. Right? This is not my opinion, but just hypothetically it was. If I was to say, I would like to see Creswell start left back against Wolves, and in the comments people say, I think you're wrong, you should have Ben Johnson, you should have Emerson. I get it, I understand it, that's in the 99%. Tilo Kehrer might be the one I might think, well, hang on a minute. But anyway, when people disagree with us opinion wise, I get 99% of things. I can see where other people are coming from. It doesn't bother me, but there's always that 1% of things where I struggle to get it. And one thing I don't get is people wanting to see West Ham lose to get the manager sacked. I don't understand it. I have tried, and I even try to convince myself and say, well, it's for the greater good, it's for the longevity of the club. But then the manager has to get sacked, but he doesn't. We saw it against Brentford when we the league game. I said, well, my opinion was if we get beat, Moyes wouldn't get sacked anyway. And I saw people in the preview in the comments going, I hope we lose because Moyes will get the sack. I was like, well, I don't think he will. Obviously, we lost and he didn't get the sack. I think, well, but you wanted us to get beat, and now what? You're going to keep on wanting us to lose until the manager leaves. And it's just something I've never got. I just don't understand it. So if you're one of those people and you want to explain it to me in the comments, please do. I look forward to reading it because, like I said, I do try and understand. It's just something I've never subscribe to. I will always prefer to see West Ham win. But anyway, I've gone off at a bit of a tangent. But I want you guys to get involved in this video, by the way. Anything that you've seen that's positive in the last few games, the 4 games after the World Cup, let me know. But also the things that are worrying you greatest. Not everything. That's a long list. Just the main things, right? So Aguerd's one of my positivities. I think Jared Bowen's performing really well. I think he was quiet in the Cup game. But I think in the 3 league games, I think he's... I say back to his best. He's not quite there, but he's had 3 really good performances. I think Soufal's looked a bit better since coming back as well. Another main thing is Paqueta's positioning, and to some extent Declan Rice's role. I think we're now seeing Declan Rice go back to his old role, which is more a defensive midfielder, not running forward as much as he used to. And then Paqueta's obviously dropped in deeper and almost playing as a number 8 like he did for Brazil. And it feels a little bit late, but we're getting there now, and it's no coincidence that Paqueta's played really well. I say really well. He's looked really good in the last few games. Is it perfect? No. Is he still getting caught in the ball? Sometimes, yes, but some of his passes have been wonderful. He gets stuck in, doesn't mind a little bit of argy-bargy. He's getting his foot stuck in as well. The tackling's there. I'm really encouraged by that partnership of Declan Rice and Paqueta. The little 1-2s they're doing, the trust they've got in each other, it's hugely promising. There's only been a couple of games, but I'm really liking what I'm seeing between those two. And I think we're just starting to form a bit of a spine to this team now. Fabianski in goal, Aguerd and Zuma at the back, Paqueta and Rice in midfield, Bowen on the right, Scamacca up front. We're starting to now get players in that's their position and that's that kind of thing. Now, we all have a debate as to who should play on the left or left back or right back, but we're starting to form a bit of a spine. I like it. But I can't help shaking. The 2 big sort of negative things for me is, one is our lack of creativity. It's just non-existent at the minute. Against Brentford and against Leeds, we created very, very little in open play. We scored 3 goals. 1 was a penalty and 2 were really good individual strikes. There wasn't the keeper's melee. I can't remember the Brentford keeper. It wasn't Raya. It was their second choice keeper. But they were largely untested. We barely created anything in open play. And this is my biggest concern going into the Wolves game and the Everton game, that we're still going to have that. We're still going to be struggling for creativity. We're still not going to create chances. And that worries me the most. And that is part of the tactics and formation that's put in place by the manager. Now, formation-wise, I'm not keen on the wing-back one, but when we're playing with 4 at the back, I actually quite like it. I quite liked our formation against Leeds. It felt like a 4-3-3 to me. Some people disagree. That's fine, but how I saw it was a 4-3-3. And I liked that formation. I thought it worked well. Just there was a couple of people playing that I feel shouldn't have been. Tilo Kehrer being one of them. I don't mind him playing. I don't mind Tilo Kehrer being left back against Wolves as long as it's left back in the change room. Sorry, that's a bit hard. That's too far. But the lack of creativity, and like I said, it comes off the back of the way that we play, the intent, if you like. On paper, 4-3-3 looks really good, but if we're going to play it like we have been, it's next to useless. But I think there's something there. I feel like we're starting to mould something together, but I just don't want to see the wing-back thing. And then the second one, and it's hard not to keep banging on about this, is player inclusion of, in particular, Thomas Souček in this instance. But I'm a big fan of Aaron Creswell. You guys know this, right? You guys know that. I know there's a lot of people have felt for a long time Creswell should be... I've agreed that he should be replaced, but I've always felt he should have a role in the squad. But I include Creswell in this because I've got a feeling he'll be left back against Wolves. And his performance against Brentford in the league scared me a lot. The way he just gave up for that goal and how he struggled throughout, it worried me a great deal, actually. And Moyes needs to get rid of this favourites thing. And like I said, it's getting better. He's including more and more new signings now. The last game Emerson played, we've seen Aguerd in the team, Paqueta, Scamacca have been in the team. Obviously, Cornet's unable for selection. Downs is obviously excluded, but he's starting to now get rid of these players. But I just couldn't help be disappointed by his comments regarding getting Thomas Souček back in the team after dropping him for 1 game. And it reminded me of Sam Allardyce with Kevin Nolan. We were 4th in the Premier League and he sat there basically saying, oh yeah, I'm going to get Stuart Downing out of the team because I need to get Kevin Nolan in. Sacco and Valencia were performing well up front and he was speaking about how he needs to get Andy Carroll back. You don't need to do that. No, it's working. We're 4th. Leave it as it is. But there was this insistence from the manager, but no, I like Nolan and Carroll, they've got to go into the team. And it feels a bit like that with Moyes and Souček, which is I've taken out for 1 game, we only drew, he's going straight back in. And that's the thing that probably worries me the most, actually, is the player selection for Wolves, and it's unjustified player selection is perhaps I would describe it as, and that's what worries me the most. But like I said, there is some positives coming out of these few games now. Huge games coming up against Wolves and Everton. I'm really looking forward to doing the preview with Gonzo for the Wolves game. I don't know why. I'm just looking forward to it, actually. Probably because I'm looking forward to the match. I've got a little bit of hope. And it's come off the back of the last 2 games more than anything. But even Brentford in the league game when we got beat, I thought we improved quite a bit. I thought we were knocking the ball about quite nicely. The problem was the game plan was just to endlessly cross it and it wasn't really working and we just kept on doing it. But generally speaking, I thought the level of play had improved. I thought there's a few players had a good game. And we were unfortunate not to be 2-0 up by 15 minutes by the time we got sucker punched. But the last 4 goals were conceded as throw-ins. So that suggests, there's an issue somewhere in the team. But I have seen more promises from the last 2 or 3 games than I have for the first half of the season. Like I said, if what we have just seen, the last 3 games was the first 3 games of this season, we got told, we're transitioning. I say, okay, that's fine. I can see it. Paqueta plays centre midfield, right? Yeah, okay, I get it. But it feels too little too late. But going into the Wolves one, I'm looking forward to it. And they've obviously improved drastically as well, but they've got a game tomorrow evening, which should hopefully help us a little bit. And 2 massive games, but I'm hopeful. I don't know why. Well, I do know. It's based on what I've seen in the last few games. It's because of certain players playing well. And anyway, get involved. I think now's a good time because of the 2 games coming up, and we've now seen 4 games since the restart. I think now's a good time to almost reevaluate a little bit and pick out what you think's going well and what you think is still concerning you. So like I said, please do get involved in the comments below. Bit of an opinion piece, bit of a ramble today. I couldn't be bothered doing a transfer rumour show. There's plenty of them, but I just don't know, I just fancied the chit chat. So here's my talk. If you've enjoyed it somehow, please do drop a like on the video. Subscribe to Hammer's chatting about back tomorrow. Possibly transfer rumours. I'll catch you then.